Harlan Raker, he's just like, I just love him so much. He doesn't even talk that much. He barely has any dialogue, and I just love him so much because we are just on such the same wave. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been so long since I've done a book themed video, so I'm so excited to get back into talking about books. So I have been obsessed with this book, and I've been like so obsessed that I cannot do anything else. I can't read another book. Like I tried to start what was it? I tried to start 2 books. Asperfell, and I tried to read Onyx Storm because I'm so late to the party, but I could not focus because I'm like, all I want to do is read more about Harlan Raker. Okay, I'm like obsessed with STARSIDE. So let me break down how this video is gonna go. I'm gonna have the first part where I'm gonna do kind of like a little review recap, and it's gonna be spoiler free. Then the second part is gonna be me ranting because I literally can't get this book out of my head, and I feel like I need to just like talk about it to somebody. And all the people like in my circle and all my friends, they're not readers, like they're not avid readers, so I can't really talk to them about it. But I do feel like once I finally rant about this amazing book, I will finally be able to kind of like move on, and so then I'll be able to prepare for Stormside, and then I'll be hooked again and obsessed again and ranting again for the next book, hopefully. All right, so let's get into the spoiler-free recap / review. All right, first let's look at the book. So I just believe this book is so beautiful. Oh no, focus, the light is like, okay. Look at behind the book. And if you see the spray painted edges, they're just so pretty. I just love it. And the inside has like the little map and everything. This is honestly one of the prettiest books ever. I do love that, I think it's called the Naked Book. The Naked Book has, I can't get too close on the light. Okay. Yeah, the Naked Book has this design here. And it has Eris and Harlan Raker, who are the main characters. All right, this book is by Alex Astor. A lot of people know her from a series called Lightlark. I did not read Lightlark. I don't have any intention of reading Lightlark. But I am hooked on STARSIDE. All right, so what's this book about? Okay, first of all, it's I call this high fantasy. Right now there's a trend called romantasy. Everybody's like obsessed with it, but I call this fantasy, high fantasy with romantic elements or whatever. But yeah, so they are in a magical world. So there's like the mortal world, or the mortal, I guess I should call it just like areas, like a boundary where they are, and then through a gate it's Starside, which is where like the immortals and the gods and like a lot of magical creatures live, and it's magic over there. So this girl Eris, she is going to do this competition called a Questral. The Questral allows for 50, I think it's 50 mortals to cross over into Starside, this magical kingdom, and they are trying to get to the land of the gods, I believe, and they're gonna get this little chalice, and this chalice or goblet, whatever you want to call it, is filled with like magic. This magic can grant, I think, wishes. You drink it, you can become immortal if you don't die from it. Sometimes they go and they share it, they bring it back to Stormside, which is where the poor mortals live, and they can make the land fertile and I don't know, bring riches and stuff. It can pretty much do whatever you wanted to do. It can save lives and change the whole trajectory of the lives of all these poor mortals, right? She's trying to go, and she wants to do this Questral. Her caretaker is named Stellan. We don't see much about Stellan because she goes to the court, the Questral, and you can only go by yourself, right? You can't just bring friends. So we only see Stellan in the beginning of the book, but he is her guardian. He took her in. She's an orphan. Her whole family died. They were murdered by the gods. And that's not really a spoiler. I think it's in the back of the book. Yeah, it's not really a spoiler because you figured that out pretty early on. But yeah, he teaches her how to fight, how to use swords, and just how to protect herself. And so he doesn't want her to go to the Questral, but she goes anyway. And her motivation for going is she wants to take revenge on the guys who killed her family, which I understand. And that would be me too. But the first part is kind of like a qualifying event where a whole bunch of people are like killing each other to get on stage so that they can actually qualify to go to the Questral, to go die basically. So she ends up making it through that part, obviously, because if she didn't, then the book would be over. There is another character in here. His name is Harlan Raker, and I love Harlan Raker. Okay, I'm a Harlan Raker girly. I wish his name wasn't Raker. It just sounds a little too close to the other name, the other word, if you know what I'm talking about. But I do love Harlan Raker because I'm like, the way all the girls feel about Xaden is kind of how I feel about Harlan Raker. Like, I don't get the hype for Xaden. And I'm sure there are people who don't get the hype for Harlan because I read about some stuff on Reddit and they just don't like him. But anyway, staying focused. Harlan Raker is like an infamous knight. And I say knight with air quotations because knights are supposed to like protect the innocent. At least that's like the feudal definition. This guy's really just kind of like a killing machine for the king, or for whoever he's working for. And it kind of seems like he's working for the king in the beginning. It wasn't totally clear to me. But he's feared. Like, nobody tries to attack him because they already know they're gonna die. Like, he is the best swordsman. He's huge. I don't know, like 6 something, like up there. But nobody tries him. He literally just walks on stage. Nobody dares try to fight him. All right, so they make it past the first qualifying event. They go ahead and they go to the next step. Next step is meeting the king. And let me tell you something I found interesting, because I was annotating this book, at least for the first part. Let me see if you can see some of my annotations. I annotate with these translucent papers because I will not write in my books. I'm just that type of person. But yeah, one of the things I noticed is that they only call him the king. The king doesn't have a name, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought it was gonna mean something, but it didn't seem to mean anything. So they do kind of meet with the king, blah, blah, blah. They start doing something like calling and giving out swords. So this is something that I love in this story. The magic system, I mean, it's like your standard magic system, but they also add something unique with metal. So there's like tiers to metal. Like copper is a weak metal. I think aluminum is like a pretty good metal. And you got steel, and you got like STARSIDE steel. STARSIDE steel is like as best as it gets. Like, you can't get better than that. And then some of the swords have magic, and like they bond to that person. So Harlan Raker has a sword that's bonded to him. Nobody else can pick it up. Okay, it kind of gives me Thor hammer vibes like that. So anyway, the king kind of like loans out some swords for people to go and do the quest drill. Listen, I'm gonna call this girl Violet multiple times in this review. I know it, because like I'm always calling her Violet in my head, and it's because she's so weak. And we're gonna get into that. She's too weak for me. It gives me Violet in the first book vibes, like how weak she is. So anyway, not Violet. Eris doesn't take a sword from the king, and I support it. So they move on to the next event, which is like them having to get into STARSIDE. So they're not even in STARSIDE yet, and a whole bunch of people already have died. Actually, it was like 100 people who made it like past the qualifying event, and now they only can do 50 into STARSIDE. So the next morning, they basically just gotta fight. They gotta fight, and they gotta run through the gates trying to get into STARSIDE. I can almost call her Violet again. Eris. Eris makes it in. It's not, obviously, it's really not much I can say about that little event without spoiling some stuff, but Eris makes it in. A few of her friends, like she developed like a little pet. I'm gonna call her a pet because I don't know, they weren't really friends. Some girl that she helped and started following her around for a little bit, which was kind of weird. But she and her friends, loosely using the word friends, making it to STARSIDE, okay? And so at this point, this is why I call it high fantasy, and it's really, I feel like epic. It's an epic, but I know people are really sensitive about those words. It's not like literarily astute, you know. It's not classic literature. It's not that advanced. It's a regular fun time, but the way the adventure is set up, it makes me feel like I went through an epic, and I love an epic. Some of the stuff gets a little repetitive, which was a complaint. It was a valid complaint. So first she's working with this group of other challengers, questral challengers, going through it. There's 3 of them. She pisses off some people in the tower, and then they have to run for their life. And so they ended up finding a little town, meeting some nice people, surprisingly, and then also meeting people who tried to kill them, unsurprisingly. And then they also ended up finding out about this darkness, this thing. And they were like, don't go outside at night. Basically, you need to find somewhere to be inside, because even the immortals are being killed at night, which is very odd. So she spent some time with this group of people, not too much time. So I am not going to talk too much about the dragon. Obviously, if you've done any research on STARSIDE, you know that there is a dragon in here. There's actually different creatures in here, and I like that. So they go and they're trying to find these creatures, right? They find the creatures, then they get separated. What I didn't like was that you got a dragon on the book, on the edges. You have a dragon on the cover, and then there was barely any time with the dragon. Okay, so I'm not gonna say what happened, but you didn't have that much time with the dragon. I wanted more dragon. I entered this book thinking I was gonna get a lot of dragon. I didn't get enough dragon, I feel like. So anyway, we move on, and I feel like low-key this is kind of spoiling the book. This is such a hard book to talk about without spoiling it, because I could just talk vaguely, but then you wouldn't understand anything going on. Anyway, after she gets separated from the dragon, she now is running from this annoying dude who always like pops up, and it's just like all of these questionable people are trying to kill each other. Some of them team up and they create allies. Eris had her allies. They ended up getting separated though. And so now she's by herself, and this crazy dude literally, he's obsessed with her. And I don't know why he's obsessed with her, but he's obsessed with her and obsessed with killing her. So throughout the story, he just keeps popping up trying to kill her. So she's running for her life, per usual. And then she meets, I don't know if I should say meet, but she runs into Harlan Raker. And Harlan Raker, he's just like, I just love him so much. He doesn't even talk that much. He barely has any dialogue, and I just love him so much because we are just on such the same wave. Like, I don't dislike Eris, but she gets on my last nerve. Like, me and Harlan are like here when it comes to this girl. But anyway, they're like bickering now because he's like, get out of my cave. And she's like, no. He's like, whatever. She's like, hey, you should work with me. And he's like, you're pathetic. And then she's like, okay, fine, you don't want to work with me? Pulls out a sword and starts trying to attack him. I guess she was gonna beat him into working with her. Oh, I almost forgot that part. She does get a sword, and it's a special sword. But anyway, so it's funny because I don't know why he didn't kill her like multiple times, even up until this point. He has so many times to kill her, and I don't know why he didn't. I'm not saying that I want him to, but I'm just confused as to why he didn't kill her. I think he just found her entertaining, like, and I think he preferred her to the rest of the people. But yeah, so he's like, fine, whatever, I'll leave. She starts trying to attack him because he said no. You don't want to work with her. But oh, I forgot, she gets this thing that can help them get through the challenge and get to the land of the gods faster. And so she's like dangling it in front of his face, like, yeah, you want to come work with me? And he's like, I'll just take it. And she's like, nope, she threw it in the fire and she burned it. And so now he's like forced to work with her. He probably didn't have to. He was gonna make it regardless, but it definitely made the process faster. So now they're working together, but he can't stand her because she's such a liability. Like, she is the weakest link, and she is so annoying. She's like, oh, I'm so trained, I know how to use a sword. Still ain't taught me how to use a sword. But literally every time something pops up, every time these little nighttime demons come out, every time there's some immortal or some crazy creature that attacks him, all she does is fall, scream, and like get beat up. And then Harlan has to come save her every single time. And so that's pretty much like the middle of the book. That's just like on repeat. Eris getting into trouble, Harlan having to come save her, Eris being a liability, Harlan getting aggravated about it. So that's like so much of the middle of the book, and they have like so much adventure. I will say Eris's strong suit is just in her character, in the way she's able to make friends and allies, in the way she just interacts with the people. Harlan is very much to himself. Like, he don't deal with nobody. He don't want to talk to nobody. He's antisocial. He don't need nobody help, nothing. Eris is the opposite, and honestly, it helps them. It really saves them because you could not get through that process without allies and without friends. And so I feel like that's kind of where they both complement each other in the quest. All right, camera died, but I'm back. Where was I? Yeah, so Harlan and Eris are working together. I feel like they complement each other well because Eris is just able to make friends with everybody. And she tries to be so hard and so tough, but she's really such a softie. But it's really her strong suit. Harlan is the opposite. Harlan can't stand people. Harlan will let everybody die. He does not care. Only thing I think he cares about, where he has a soft spot, is Eris, of course, and children. So yeah, they're going through the quest trail. They're meeting different creatures, different immortals. Some of the immortals are trying to kill them for no good reason, simply just existing and being human, I guess. But some of them are really cool, and I feel like that was one of the major points of the book. They're kind of taught to believe that immortals are horrible, and vice versa, and that the immortals are like heartless, and they're just, how do I explain it? They don't have any humanity, So, and the book shows you that actually these people are very similar to us over there. The only difference is they have magic. We don't have magic, but they have magic, and they're creatures that are trying to kill them, and the powers that be that are oppressing them are just more of a magical nature. But there's a lot of commonality between the struggles of the people. They meet so many people in this book. That's why I call it an epic. They meet so many people. They go to so many different places. They pretty much travel this entire book, and then somebody gets hurt, and then they gotta end up going backwards. and they have to complete this challenge in like a month, like what is it, like 2 months maybe. So yeah, now I'll tell you guys a little bit about, I wish you could see it, Vander Evans. Okay, so listen, we meet Vander like maybe like 60% of the way through the book. I feel like it's a little more than halfway through the book. At this point, I didn't love Harlan Raker yet. I liked him, I didn't love him yet. And so, but when Vander came into the picture, I was like, okay, Vander, you're making me like you. You're making me like you a little too much. And I still like Vander. I low-key feel like he's such a better match for Eris, but I can never forsake Harlan Raker, okay? But yeah, it's not really strong love triangle vibes. I didn't even tell y'all who Vander was. Okay, Vander is an immortal who lives in Starside. Stellan, you know, Eris, when she told Stellan she was going to go to the Questro, he was mad, blah, 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 blah. One of the last things he said to her before she left was, find Vander Evren. I keep calling him Evans. It's Evren. Vander Evren, okay? Find him. Now, here's the thing. Vander Evans is, like, he be killing people. He's a murderer. Nobody ever calls him unless they want to die. And so she's kind of like, whoa, like, what am I calling him for? And then she was asking about him, like, around Starside, and it was like, yeah, nobody calls him unless you want to duel, and you're going to die if you do that. But she does. Apparently, him and Stellan were friends because Stellan went through the Questro also. And I guess he owes him a debt or something, or he just kind of looks out for Eris while she's there at his house, at his estate. Something was happening. So much happens in this book. Like, so much happens. That's why I cannot give you a sequential order of events, because so much happens. It's really hard for me to remember what was first. There was like 2 magical animal attacks. There's like fairies and pixies. There's immortals. There's these little demon thingies. And there's dragons and other flying creatures. Let me see. So, I almost forgot. It's so many things to talk about. Yeah, Violet is, not Violet. I told y'all I was going to do that. I told you I was going to do that. Eris is apparently touched by the gods. So, she has these little markings on her body that she hides. Harlan Raker, I probably should have said this in the beginning. He wears this little mask that knights wear, the one that covers their face. He never takes it off, and he wears a hood. Like, he just never takes it off. Nobody knows what he looks like. Eventually, of course, he unmasked himself to Eris at some point in the book, very far in the book. So much happens in this book. Anyway, let me just get to the point, because there's a lot of things that happen that are just more like world building, them going through their ups and downs, traveling. What's the next most important thing you guys need to know? I told y'all Eris also gets a sword. It has magic. Both of their swords have magic. So both of them don't trust each other and are really plotting to kill each other pretty much the entirety of the book. All right, so towards the end is where the spice happens. And it's like a long spice. It's like, how many pages is it? Well, it's a very long overdue spice at the very end of the book. Anyway, it's long. And then after that is the great betrayal. I won't say who betrayed who, but it was expected, but then unexpected. And so the very ending of the book, she gets some revenge. I wasn't satisfied with it. But then there's also the plot twist. Now here's the thing. I don't know if I can fairly assess the plot twist. And that's because immediately before I read Starside, I read Brimstone. Like, I read Starside in maybe like 3 days. And then I read Brimstone like literally the day before I started Starside. And so my mind was already in that train of thought. And so when the big plot twist came at the end, I just was like unimpressed. But that could just simply be because I read Brimstone. There are so many similarities between Starside and Quicksilver series. The swords, well, in Quicksilver it's like metals, like silver is a high metal. And then in this one, silver is also a high metal, but they have different metals. It's like layers to it. Also, the way they talk about the swords, it's a lot of commonality. And so I was almost like, are you guys gonna do a crossover or something? Because I'm here for it. I'll definitely be here for it. But yeah, it was just so many similarities towards the end that I was not surprised. So it definitely fell short for me at the end. But overall, I still liked it. I actually loved it. It's such a great book. It's such a fun read. I don't know. I'll tell you what I thought was bad about it. For one, the main character, Iris, I feel like she's so aggravating because she's so weak and she's not as good as she thinks she is. And she's like, I got all these skills, Stellan, train me. But it's like, okay, where's the training? Is the training in the room with us? Because every time I turn the page, you're on the ground getting beat up. So I don't know what training Stellan gave you, but clearly it wasn't enough. So she's very aggravating. And so eventually Harlan does start training her, just like a little bit, like a teeny bit. But yeah, he starts training her and she gets better and she becomes less of a liability. She's still annoying because she's always getting in trouble. He always has to save her, but less of a liability than the very beginning. Next thing I didn't like, again, I told y'all, I didn't get enough dragon. I need more dragon. I want more dragon. And I feel like if I got a dragon and then I got separated from my dragon, I would be spending the whole book trying to get my dragon back, trying to find my dragon. That's the only thing I would be concerned about. I just felt like she wasn't concerned enough about where her dragon went. And then towards the end, I felt like, well, it's very convenient now that the dragon just pop up. That don't make any sense to me. There was no build up to that at all. Other thing that made me mad was the ending. I wasn't satisfied. Like, you've been chasing this revenge the whole book. You know, I'm here for it. I support it. I want the revenge for you. I want it with you. And then it was like over like that. I'm like, no, I need that to be a little longer. I need her to suffer a little bit more. But yeah, and then the way it happened didn't make no sense. I was like, all throughout the book she's been saying, oh, I'm gonna kill the guys, blah blah blah, and everybody's like, yeah, you're gonna die. You're gonna die trying. But then we meet the guys and I'm like, this god is very weak. This is a very weak god and they die very easily. And I'm not satisfied. So that didn't make any sense. I felt like that was a plot hole. The big betrayal that happens, I liked it. I did like it. I just felt like I wanted a little more. It could have been a little longer. Yeah, because then it's like the revenge happened and then the betrayal, the confrontation after the betrayal happens. And then the book is like over in like one chapter. And I'm like, I need a little bit more. I wanted more discourse after the big betrayal happened. I'm so here for the betrayal. I love it. Does that make me toxic? Am I toxic? Is it me? Okay, anyway, so this book, I rated it, I think I gave it like 4.6. Yeah, like 4.6, 4.7. I rarely ever give a book 5 stars. Just because there's so many things that I would change about the book. Okay? I hope that wasn't too spoilery. Let me know if I spoiled too much of the book. I really did try to keep a lot out. And there's so many magical elements in this book that are really fun to me. All right, so now I'm gonna get to the spoilery rant part of this video, okay? So now we're gonna talk about this, but I'm not going to hold my tongue on anything because this is gonna be a very, very spoiler heavy video about